shift in the quarterback discussion for Nebraska. And I know you like my analogies sometimes and how I kind of play things out. And I'm going to use a wedding analogy to describe.
Okay, I know. Is this safe?
This is safe for work.
Okay.
So Kyle McCord, I mean, imagine the wedding, the courtship. Okay. He's in town for the rehearsal dinner. Everything looks green or ready to roll. Okay. But then all of a sudden, a girl that was kind of way out of your league that you've always desired comes back into play and says, not only am I interested in you, I want to marry you. And it's kind of just disrupted the whole kind of thought of where this was going to go. I think Monday, Tuesday, the thought was, all right, Kyle McCord, Daniel Kalen, maybe Chubba stays, Heinrich Harburg, you got that figured out. Then it shifted. All right, can they make this work with Kyle McCord for 1 year? Dylan Raiola can use the 4-game red shirt, develop, learn. You might lose Chubba Purdy in this. Daniel Kalen, and we'll get in that later, is possibly looking at some options. But clearly that was a pie in the sky dream.
Hold on.
Some.
Yeah, no, you're right. This is where the discussion gets really good, because there's a temptation to say, Sean, it's just too good to be true to have 2 5-star quarterbacks.
They've never had one in history in Nebraska.
Right. So it's just, there's a temptation. And I think I even tweeted that. It's just too good to be true. I wish I wouldn't have. It's not. It wasn't too good to be true. You could do it. The situation was there.
A lot of people thought it could be done.
Right. I thought it could be done. And it's unique. It's a unique situation. Yeah. If I was looking at another school and Purdue was going to have 2 5-star quarterbacks, I'd say, no, that's not going to work. But this could have worked because one's a legacy. So that makes it unique. Dylan Raiola is a legacy. And one is a incoming freshman, Dylan, and the other would be a one and done guy in Kyle McCord. So it would kind of work. You could say, Kyle will be the bridge kind of to Dylan Raiola, and that could work. And Dylan's a legacy, so he'll stay and play. So I thought this is perfect. But you know what, Sean? Where there's humans and there's a lot of money, there can be a lot of drama and imperfection. And that's what we got.
And it's, and you think about like in the NFL, like Peyton Manning as a rookie, you don't want to throw him, like you want to get a guy ahead of him to kind of develop, like what the Chiefs did with Patrick Mahomes. Like Patrick Mahomes was better than Alex Smith, but they let him kind of get his sea legs in the organization. And there's a lot of scenarios like Arch Manning at Texas. I mean, he redshirted this year, played in a few games behind Quinn Ewers. I mean, so that scenario was very plausible, and it could have played out. And I think a lot of people thought it was a great idea. Clearly, and I can see the McCord's side of things too. If this played out this way, they come into town
Monday
expecting the wedding.
They came Monday.
They were ready to roll. I mean, I think this was kind of all right. They're coming in, get this thing figured out, and move forward with Nebraska. As they get to Lincoln on Monday, the Dylan Raiola bombshell just drops.
Right.
And imagine, I mean, it was like, I couldn't leave. Everyone in the state was talking about it everywhere.
Yeah, pretty much. So that all happened on Monday. And what do you think if you're the McCords? Now, here's the other part of this conversation. We really, as journalists have to be careful of, and that is making a lot of assumptions, and essentially trying to speak for the McCords. I don't know what went through their minds. It's possible that their decision, and McCords have decided to move on from Nebraska,
at least as of now.
Yeah, we report. I mean, Pete Nakos reported that yesterday. It's possible it didn't have much to do with Raiola, but that seems unlikely. I mean, it seems like it would have. But again, this is why I really have. It's hard. These situations are hard for us because people want answers, Sean. But we have to say, Matt Rule's not going to tell us what's going on. He can't tell us what's going on.
Technically, he can't even be involved in NIL.
Right.
Technically.
Exactly. And Kyle McCord or his dad, Derek McCord, they're not going to bare their souls to the Nebraska media. Why would they?
And I talked to Pete Nakos throughout the day yesterday on Wednesday as we were kind of working on this together. And, I think he's speaking to people within the camp of McCord.
Within the camp.
And the camp is agents and other people, not just his family, but people.
Agents are very critical in this conversation.
And the agents, and Pete Nakos has really risen in this NIL coverage world because of his relationships with all the key players. And I think the thought was if Kyle McCord throws a pick or struggles at all early, there's going to be an immediate cry.
There it is,
to turn the page and go to Raiola.
Would they be comfortable with that? Of course not. Would you? If you were his father, I wouldn't.
He's an 11-1 starter with 1 year of eligibility, and I think he wants a clear path.
Yeah, and
which is hard to guarantee anybody.
Just go back to that. Go back to that scenario. That would have been the scenario if McCord wins that job. And Raiola is standing on the sideline, by the way, making maybe $1 million too. So that's a whole nother part of the conversation. You'd have $2 million quarterbacks, one standing there, and then McCord. And there's bound to be struggle, right? I mean, Kyle McCord's not going to go through the season at Nebraska with the way Nebraska is right now and have a season where he throws 40 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions. It's not going to be like that. So there's bound to be some struggle. And what would have happened? The first time he encounters, he throws a couple picks. Oh, it would have got weird. And maybe they didn't want that, and if that's the case, I can't blame them.
And now for McCord, you wonder, because nothing has really emerged with who's next, but Pete Nakos reported teams that are still in the market for a quarterback are Auburn, Duke, Louisville. I think Louisville would be a logical spot for him.
It sure would.
I mean, Jeff Brom is a quarterback whisperer.
It sure would. It would.
He's made guys with far less tools.
It's funny you said that, because when I was looking at that same story, we were going through those schools, that's the one that jumped out to me is Louisville.
I've watched Jeff Brom and what he's done, and if that was an option, I'm sure McCord's going to look at. And
who else?
Syracuse and Michigan.
Syracuse is the one with the most steam.
Now, you threw out Washington.
Well,
that's
only
just a thought, but do the Huskies already have a young guy in the wings?
I don't know. I mean, I threw out Washington because Michael Penix, pure pocket passer. I mean, they run an offense where you can have a pure pocket guy like McCord. McCord, if you look at, I probably have looked at 100 plays of McCord. You never see him run. He doesn't run. He's a pocket passer. I think he had like 8 design runs all year, and that would include like quarterback sneaks. Right. And Penix, there was that stat of Penix that he only threw 11% of his passes outside the pocket. So that Washington offense would fit McCord, but I don't know what he's doing. That'll be very interesting in the next few days to see where he goes. McCord.
And when McCord, if you just take a few steps back with Nebraska's liabilities the last few years on the O-line, would a guy that is essentially stationary in the pocket, could that have worked?
Yeah, I think it could.
Could they have protected him at a level that needs to be for a guy like that?
I mean, it seems like it's you won't find many perfect situations in that regard, but man, you got Teddy Prohaska on one side as a left tackle and Bryce Benhart on the right. Yeah.
Returning.
Yeah.
Ben Scott returning.
Right. But I'm talking about the tackles. You got Prohaska on one side, Benhart on the other. That's pretty good. You think you'd feel pretty good about that. Pretty good. Not, again, you're not going to find many places like Michigan and Ohio State up front. But Nebraska I thought they were all right that way.
McCord is like a throwback that we were joking. He's like a 1993 Michigan quarterback.
Elvis Gerbach.
Yeah, we used Elvis Gerbach on the phone call last night.
He's like that.
Lloyd Carr would have been all over this guy.
He would.
And there aren't a lot of guys like Kyle McCord in college football anymore because the college football game has turned into a QB run game.
You're right, but I liked him. I like the film of him. He has he's got a strong arm and he makes good decisions. He's dependable. Plus, he's beyond dependable. He was dependable with the ball. Part of the reason he won that job at Ohio State is because in the competition with Devin Brown, who's a sophomore, highly recruited kid, obviously, Brown turned it over more. And McCord didn't have problems with turnovers. God, you'd think Nebraska fans, when they hear that, would go, God, a quarterback who doesn't have problems with turnovers. He won the Ohio State job because he didn't have problems with turnovers. Yeah, that's what we need here.